Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. This is episode number 457. Today, I'm talking about some Instagram tips that I've been learning along through my social experiment. Now let's dive in. Have you already found business success but feel lonely at the top? Or do you feel like you're at a place in your business where others just don't get it? Or maybe you feel like you have to make yourself smaller in order for others to not feel less than. Or maybe just a little bit of all three? But with all that said, there is good news because I've been there and I see you, sister. I'm Taylor Bradford, the torchbearer of this podcast and sisterhood, and I'm here to lead and inspire you to stay purposely aligned in the success you have found and provide you with support, guidance, and a sisterhood to keep going. Because I do get it. Your business journey isn't meant to be traveled alone. So grab a notebook, your favorite pen, and a bevy, and let's dive into this together with this latest podcast episode. Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative and me. Hello, welcome to episode number 457. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for tuning in. I so appreciate you being here today. We're going to be chatting about some Instagram tips that I have learned through this social experiment, and I've got a fun update to provide for that. Before we dive in, let's get through some announcements and what's been going on in social media land. So announcement number one, first of all, this particular episode is sponsored by System.io, which System.io is an all-in-one email marketing system with landing pages. So it's like ClickFunnels meets MailChimp. And it is a fantastic platform. I've been using it since I started this social experiment at the end of fall last year. And it truly is a powerful platform. And System.io has a masterclass where they can show you how to do an $11,000 launch with their platform. Here's what you're going to learn in the masterclass. Part 1 is the exact blueprint for an $11,000 launch. Part 2 is how to get 90 recurring customers with a simple funnel setup. Part 3 is how to use System.io to power your entire launch. And you're going to discover the one mind-blowing System.io feature that made the $11,000 launch possible. To take advantage of that free masterclass, I want you to go to bossgirlcreative.com/11K. That is 11K. So bossgirlcreative.com/11K. Second announcement, my 90-day undated planner in the softcover version is available to purchase on Amazon. You can pick up your copy. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/BGC planner. I've already sold a few and I'm so incredibly excited to have seen that number pop up in the Amazon KDP platform. So thank you if that was you. I so appreciate it. And don't miss out. Grab your copy and start using it. I'd love for you to tag me on social media at Boss Girl Creative if you do grab that. And again, go to bossgirlcreative.com/BGC planner. Now, this planner is unique because it's A, I created it, but B, this is how I use a planner. So it starts off with your gratitudes, also affirmations, and then it rolls into your task and to-do list. And there's also a monthly recap so that you can keep your goals focused forward and you can stay purposely aligned because that is the whole purpose. So grab your copy, bossgirlcreative.com/BGC planner. Okay, let's get into this week's social media headlines. Social media headline number 1, U.S. senators are raising a new push to ban TikTok. TikTok's once again facing a potential ban in the U.S. Social media headline number 2 goes along with social media headline number 1. TikTok calls on U.S. users to oppose the latest proposal to ban the app. With U.S. lawmakers putting forth a new ban proposal, TikTok is fighting back. Social media headline number 3, Pinterest shares insights into key wedding trends within its app. It includes the latest wedding trend data based on pin search activity. Social media headline number 4, Elon Musk says that X will soon remove the like, repost, and reply buttons in Stream. This is the next big change coming to X, formerly known as Twitter. Social media headline number 5, LinkedIn launches new tools to assist in internal career progression. Some new tools to assist in employee career changes. And finally, LinkedIn adds new context within its Who Viewed Your Profile display. Could this make the Who Viewed Your Profile display actually valuable? And that wraps up this week's social media headlines. Okay, so let's dive in. I feel like I finally have something positive to say about my social experiment over on Instagram. And I want to kind of give the lead up. So if you haven't listened in a while, or if you have just been living under a hole, or maybe you have no clue what I'm talking about, or maybe you've been on bated breath since I started this experiment, wherever you sit within the camp of that, let's talk about what I've been doing. So back in late fall, I stumbled on some women during a late night scroll session on Instagram and started basically telling the algorithm what I was doing, and found women posting income claims, which we're going to talk about that as well, posting income claims that were absurd. Like, holy crap, that's a lot of money to be making as a digital marketer. And I was finding women making 6 and 7 figures in a very short time frame. Like, I think one of them within 8 months was already at the 6-figure earner mark. And I've continued to watch these women, and they have continued making money. So, of course, that sparked an idea. What if I try to replicate what it is that they're doing once I figure out what it is that they're doing, and see how much of it is replicatable and how much isn't? And so I got myself into what it is that they're doing. So they are an affiliate for Legendary Marketer, and they offer a 15-day business builder challenge, which actually is very, very solid. It's full of information. You get a business advisor. Like, I was kind of blown away with how well it's put together, which is why I was like, you know what? I could be an affiliate for this program. And so I went through the challenge and signed up and got the blueprints, which is the next upsell. And because I'm always in teaching mode. I'm always in learning mode. And in order to stay in teaching mode, I've got to stay in learning mode. And to keep my eyes and ears to the pulse of what's going on in the online world of business. So I did all of that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get myself involved with these girls somehow. And 2 of them had a mentorship group. And then I found another girl that also had a mentorship group. And so I got myself in and I started observing, and it did take a while to get like the experiment going. Like, I had to go through the 15-day business builder challenge, and then I, went through the blueprints, and I got my funnels set up. So I am using system.io, which is more cost effective for somebody starting out brand new, because you get a free account for the first 2,000 contacts that you put in to the platform. It's very similar as far as like comparing it to MailChimp, because I still actively use MailChimp for other businesses, including Boss Girl Creative. And I believe MailChimp still has a free plan up to 2,000 contacts or something very similar. So it's like that, except it is your funnel builder. And I do think MailChimp is working on getting better at that, but they're not known for that. So I initially looked at ClickFunnels, which is something they recommend through Legendary, and I looked at Aweber, but that was going to be a lot more work in getting the ClickFunnels set up, plus getting Aweber set up, and then both of those talking to each other. And ClickFunnels has a price tag, which is a very robust platform. You need Aweber, which is the email marketing part. And System.io has all of that built in together. And like I said, it does have a free plan of up to 2,000 contacts. Now, the limitation becomes once you need more than one funnel. It only allows you one funnel, and it only allows you one grouping of emails. And so once you need more of that, then you start paying for System.io, which I'm already paying for because I wanted to go ahead and set up multiple email campaigns based on where people came into the funnel and then based on their action. So if they came into the funnel for the freebie and then moved forward into the Business Builder Challenge, once I saw them move into the Business Builder Challenge, then I would redirect their emails into the next type of campaign in System.io. So creating a new workflow for where someone is in their buying journey. And if you're not doing that in your business, I want you to think about doing that. And that can be a whole separate podcast episode on how to kind of structure that. But I do think that that is very important. The nurturing of your customers is very important, regardless of whether or not it is your products or you are affiliating for someone else's products. So I got all that set up. I did my first Instagram Reels back in early January. So it did take me some time because I'm a perfectionist and I wanted to make sure that everything was set up and actually working. And I did realize once I had one person in the funnel that the video wasn't playing, which is on the actual splash page or the bridge page. And so I did have to fix that. But as of now, I still haven't had anyone come into the funnel. So I have been working over the last week to make changes to what my actual landing page says and how I am trying to attract people to actually want the freebie in order to move them into the funnel. So we're not talking about that part today. We're talking about what I have learned on Instagram. And so as of this recording, I have 179 reels. 179 reels, which if we do the math is how many days? 179 divided by 3 is almost 60 days. So today's content marks day 60, starting day 60. I have almost 60 days of content at 3 reels a day. And about a week ago, I was really starting to feel like, why is the account stuck? And I think, your mindset for sure plays a role in business. If you haven't figured that out by now, I need you to have a wake-up call because mindset is huge when it comes to running a business. And while I didn't feel like I was lacking in mindset, I for sure was getting frustrated because not only am I not seeing movement on growth in my Instagram platform, I wasn't seeing anybody coming into the funnel system. And like I said, we're not talking about the funnel system today. I do still am like, okay, I for sure have to figure out where is the disconnect there. But we're talking about Instagram tips today. So let's get back over to the Instagram story. So I was frustrated that I wasn't being able to sell based on what I was seeing these 2 women teach. They want you to be in the growth phase from 0 to 10,000, and then you can get into the conversion content after you hit 10,000. But really, you need the growth content to still be happening 2 to 1. So 2 growth posts to 1 conversion post. And then once you hit 100,000 followers, it can be whatever you want. And I have to tell you, when you are put into a box like that, it can really mess with you. And I finally had to extricate myself out of their mentorship group because all I saw was desperation. All I saw from the women that were in there, and at the time that I left, there were 500 women in there learning these tactics from two women who don't have truly a leg to stand on outside of making a crap ton of money with zero proof in the pudding. Even though that's the words they're using, it's all proof in the pudding. And I say that because neither one of them took their own advice when they got their accounts to where they are. Neither one of them. They were throwing, if you go, and of course, I had to go deep into the archives of both of them. They were throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall to see what stuck. And eventually something stuck and a reel went viral. And that is where their momentum and their growth came from. But it was not based on the techniques that they are actively coaching 500 plus women to do. Men and women. There were men in there too. And all I saw coming in with questions was pure desperation. I have done this for X amount of time and it's not working. What do I do? And their responses were, keep going, give it 8 weeks, do exactly what we're saying, and then and only then do you start a new account. Just start over. You've confused the algorithm. It's no longer pushing you out, and just start over. And y'all, that is really painful advice to hear. 6 weeks to 8 weeks of content is 2 solid months of 2 to 3 reels a day, and they're telling you to make sure you cap out at 3. So all of that content, all of that work for nothing. And I get it. The worst that can happen is your present day reality, right? So the worst that can happen when you are testing some kind of strategy is your present day. And if your present day is really not that bad, well, great. You didn't really lose out other than some time and frustration. But your present day is your worst reality when it comes to any kind of strategy testing. But it was literally breaking these women, which fueled my fire to this is not working. What they're saying isn't working. It's only working for a few who happen by pure chance, pure luck, because I can tell you there's not a strategy that says pick this song and you will get viral. You will go viral. Pick this song. Use this audio. Because that's not how it works. You can use some strategies and hope that you do, but there's no guarantee if your content is the content they're telling you to produce. So I was frustrated at seeing all the negative because negative just begets negative. And so I had to extricate myself from their mentorship group because I was just like, there's no why behind what they're saying. They have not taken an account from zero doing these tactics. They haven't. And one of them had an account that got shut down, got banned. And I think it has to do with when you do have a piece of content go viral and you've got mini chat turned on and it is auto responding to any comment that gets left. So if you say, if you want my free guide, comment learn. And then all of these people, if a reel takes off, all of these people start commenting learn, and you've got mini chat trying to get that content to them, starting that automation. And yeah, Instagram sees you as a spammer. And so will suspend your account. So One of them had their account suspended for quite some time, and she did start a new account, but she didn't use her own rule book to start the new account. She continued to do what she had been doing, which is a combination of growth content and conversion content. So growth content is just free advice, and conversion content is selling you something. And so I got myself to this place and I'm like, this is so frustrating. All I'm seeing is people being desperate. This is not a place to come from in business. I need to just sit down, regroup, and decide what it is that I'm going to do. Because what I felt was missing was the storytelling. The storytelling component was missing. Here I was doing reels, sharing about, growth content, free content, just trying to get you to follow me, but there was no storytelling involved. It was blah. It truly was. Like, yes, that content is still working for me. Like, I'm not archiving and I'm not deleting those past reels. So at some point, one of those could take off. But let me tell you when I made a switch. I made a switch and decided, you know what? I am going to start storytelling. So let's talk about my choice, my strategy before I chose to storytell. So one thing, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past in an actual podcast episode. So if this is a repeat or you're hearing it for the first time, great to both. When I am looking for trending audio, my technique is to find a trending audio that the original creator has 3 million views on it already, and there are less than 1,000 uses of the audio. That is where I have sunk my heels in. I am looking for audio that is at least 3 million on the first user or the creator, and then has less than 1,000 uses. And then the final is the accounts surrounding the original use of it, like the creator, is doing well, has more than 10,000. It would be great if they already are in the 40, 50, 60, 70,000 impression range or view range. And that's the audio that I save, or that's the audio I use next. The moment I find one of those, then I will either use it in my next reel or I will save it to use in the future. Now, I do my research every single day to pick my audio. And I know that people are really into batch content when it comes to this level of reels, because yes, I am still creating 3 reels a day, but I find that if you are finding an audio and then batch recording your content, there is a chance that the audio is no longer trending when you finally get to that spot. And I say that from a point of, if the audio is specific to the content you're producing, then you've wasted time creating the content because now the audio is no longer trending. So I am in the app every single day looking for the trending audio in those parameters, and that's what I'm using for the day. And that has worked. That has given me the leg up that I'm looking for in my content. So I have been practicing that strategy for about a month. I don't remember who I heard that from, but I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I'm going to do. And so for about a month, I have been doing that exact strategy. It has helped that growth content. I was getting more traction on that growth content before I pivoted into storytelling, but it was not astronomical numbers, okay? The moment I decided to start storytelling is the moment that I started making connections to people. And my first storytelling reel was this one. When you see people letting fear of what if it doesn't happen be the reason it doesn't actually happen. And I found a template of a guy who was just like, oh, no, kind of voice, but a deeper voice because he's male. That one, the moment I posted it, was picked up almost instantaneously. Like I was laying on the couch, super late night, and I started seeing like the views come in, and I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the real? Like the moment I decide to be a storyteller instead of following this other crappy advice, is this going to be the real? And it actually in a couple of hours kind of stopped at around the 500 view mark. And looking at it now, it's sitting at 519. But like for a moment, I was like, oh my gosh, it is really gaining momentum. Is this going to be the real? And I got all excited and I was screenshotting every time that I refreshed the page and more views had come in on the actual reel. It was really exciting, but I was like, is this the beacon that I was looking for to like continue forward on this type of content? The next one that I did was I'm finding affiliate programs so you don't have to. That one started yesterday. So that was over the weekend. And that one started picking up yesterday, and that one's already at 763 views. And then my next one was what they aren't saying about the $7 course. That one is sitting at 364, which is not super wow, but it's better than the 10 and 15 and 20 and 30 that I was getting on the growth content. Then I've got one where the song was, I will save you a seat at the table. And that's really important to me, is making sure everyone has a seat at my table. Like everyone is worthy to be in my orbit and you're worthy to have a seat at my table. And so that song was very fitting. So I storytold about that, or storytold. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. I was storytelling about that, and that one is sitting at 483. And then I did one about what the average income is as a digital marketer, because right now, some of these accounts are saying the average income of a digital marketer is $177,000 a month. And they're making that number up. That number, there's no substantiation behind that number. The average freelance digital marketer is making $80-something thousand a year. I think it's $82,000 or $86,000 a year, which is a nice chunk of change to be able to work from your home, right? And so I did one. It's 3 seconds and trending audio, exactly how I told you. It got picked up in Facebook actually yesterday. Again, this was a piece of content I made over the weekend, and it's currently sitting at 3,100 views and growing. And then I realized the hook on the page matters. So when I put the word curious on the hook on the page, that is when the reel did better. And again, I'm this is all a social experiment. I'm still testing what's going to work and what's not. And so I had to go do some updates on a couple of reel covers because the content's good, but I didn't use the word curious. And so I have made that adjustment, and the ones I posted yesterday have more views on them than like what I was doing in the growth content. So I feel like storytelling has to be, and I'm sure there's Instagram people out there that are like, you should have been storytelling this whole time. But again, this was a social experiment, is still a social experiment, and I wanted to be able to be like, is what they're doing replicatable? No, you are waiting on the Instagram algorithm to make you go viral. And there's no strategy behind that outside of that. Like that is the strategy you're hoping for. And the likelihood that that is going to happen is very slim. Like to be able to be told to just keep going and wait for that to happen is really terrible business advice. It's actually business suicide. And so I was like, you can't keep doing that. So I gave it a go. I feel like I got to at least 6 or 7 weeks of just doing that. And I didn't see traction, and I for sure didn't see followers. In the last 2 days, I have increased my followers. It's still a low number because I wasn't growing at all as far as the follower count goes. I'm at 44. So in the last 2 days, I've gained 4 followers. I don't know what that percentage is, but it's a huge percentage increase compared to no followers for weeks. And again, followers does not actually equate to sales. You've got to have a strong funnel, which I'm still working on. And I say that I'm working on, like, it's a strong funnel, but I'm working on what is the magnetic messaging that gets them to want to do this, to get them to want to be a digital marketer and to create a life that they don't have to take a vacation from. And so trying to make sure that the messaging is way more magnetic. I don't have kids, I don't have pets, so I don't have like that kind of magnetic messaging. Like, you want to, help your spouse not work 3 jobs, you want to contribute to, meal times, etc. And I don't have that kind of shtick. I don't have that kind of hook. And so just trying to figure out where my messaging needs to be in order to reach the people that are going to most relate for me. So there you have it. That's the update. There is some Instagram goodness in there. And if you haven't bought my planner, I would love for you to buy my planner. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/BGC planner. And again, thank you to this week's episode sponsor, System.io. Check out that free masterclass learning how to do an $11,000 launch through their platform. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/11K. That's bossgirlcreative.com/11K. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Oh, wait, before I go, thank you truly for your support of my own business journey and this podcast, The Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur. If you know another entrepreneur who is in the same business trenches, who has already found success but might be feeling a bit lonely in their journey, my hope is that you'll share this podcast and this sisterhood with them. Because this, what we do day in and day out, isn't meant to be done alone. Speaking of lonely, if you're ready to squash the business journey loneliness, stop what you're doing right now and join the sisterhood. Visit bossgirlcreative.com/sisterhood. I can't wait to see you in there.